Hello, my friends. Welcome to our Wednesday live stream of Here's What We Know. Just a quick little 10 minutes to take your break. And, when you're finding a way to waste time when you're at work and really want to do something else, that's what this show is for. It really is. And I got my friend Amber De Voss, who, by the way, I think in my promo for it, I think I misspelled your name. I gave you an extra S.
Oh, it happens. I like to tell people it's five letters, two capitals, one space.
Yeah, so I gave you people give me the extra R in Gary. Sometimes it'll be like Garry, and I'm like, no, we grew up poor. We couldn't afford the extra R.
But you could afford the extra T in Scott.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. When I, because my website is GaryScottThomas.com, and I always tell everybody, yes, it's 3 T's in a row.
That's right.
just so you know. And I've always how do you say, is it the Seduxe? Because it's Seduxe.
The Seduxe, yes.
So that's how you say it.
That's right, yes.
See, and
like deluxe, like seductive, Seduxe.
Amber and I have done a podcast together, and you need to go listen to it because it's awesome. And I'm going to put her on the spot right now and say we need to do another episode next year because it's fun and it's I hesitate to say these words, but I mean it's almost like you're trying to give people training on what to look for when it comes to themselves.
Yes, yeah.
Because you and I have talked about that. If you're looking for the whole thing on the other person, it's not. No, what are you looking for?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a hard thing when people come to you about that, right? I mean, when they come and they're like, "Hey, are they kind of lost? Do they even know, or do they come opinionated?"
Well, that's a great question. So first and foremost, for anyone who's in the audience who doesn't know who I am, I'm Amber De Voss with one S, the Seduxe, and I'm a dating and love life coach. And I focus on helping otherwise successful singles figure out their love lives, because for one reason or another, even though they're successful everywhere else in their life, when it comes to their love life, when it comes to dating, they just haven't quite figured it out. Whether it's because they were too focused on school, whether it was because they were too focused on their career, whether it's they've just had a lot of bad relationships that taught them a lot of valuable lessons that maybe they haven't quite learned yet, right? So when somebody comes to me, it's generally because they are really genuinely big-hearted. They really want to connect with other human beings and, have the opposite sex for the sake of getting into a long-lasting, fulfilling relationship. But there's just some sort of blind spot, obstacle, roadblock, something in their way that just keeps them from having a lot of success. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it always has, and I love the way you explained it because it's a lot better than the way I did it. But I love that, and it makes me sit back and wonder, as you said, you deal with a lot of successful people.
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm.
When you're dealing with relationships, most of these successful people can control their own factors, right?
Yes.
That's the hard part when you start adding somebody else's factors in, and usually you're dealing with two successful people because they tend to attract each other like magnets.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where it gets hard, huh?
Yeah, it does. And I think too, one of the things that I feel that a lot of people that I work with wrestle with, and it's tough to admit to, right? Which is why you have a coach, which is why you have a support network, is that they're wrestling with self-doubt. Right. And that's very hard for somebody who is otherwise successful to admit, is that there's just one area of my life where I can't quite figure this out. And I think that in our modern day society, that there's kind of this myth that just you're going to know when you meet the person. It just magically happens. You see them from across the room. There's no effort required. And the truth is that there are some people for whom that is actually the case, right? Like we've heard all those people where I just saw her, I just saw him, and we knew, and that was it. And here we are 50 years later, and we're still madly in love with each other.
And we all hate them, those people. We hate them.
Cough, cough, right? So the reason why those stories are notable is because they're a lot more rare than the other stories where I tried this, I tried that, I dated this person, whatever, right? So it's that self-doubt piece that I think a lot of people really have to address and also get comfortable with, and get comfortable with the discomfort. Because I think a lot of people, especially in dating and love life, if they're not having a lot of luck with it, is that they get into that mind, well, F it, right? Like, I give up. I've tried it. I've gone on dates. I've been disappointed. I've had my heart broken. I have a bad her. I have 10,000 reasons why dating is never going to work for me. So I quit. So it's that thing where it's just like, well, but is that really what you want to do? Or is it that you really do want a partner and you just don't know quite what's in your way? And that's why you have someone like myself who comes along and says, okay, do you know? So this is my favorite analogy. I think we did this in our last podcast, right? So for those of you who are able to visually see this, I'm holding my hands on either side of my head, right? Like right behind my ears. Gary, you can see these very easily, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From my perspective, I can't see them at all. I can't see them at all. And this is what a coach does. This is what someone like myself does. It says, hey, do you realize that you've got these things in your blind spot that you can't quite see? And then all of a sudden, when we shed light on that, the person's like, I didn't realize that that was what was in my way. Whether it's communication skills, whether it's a confidence issue, whether it's just knowing how to connect with other human beings, right? Because when I'm dealing with very successful, very intelligent people, right? They're intelligent in some ways and kind of dumb in others, right? So, someone needs to be that kind, loving person that says, hey, do you know you're kind of dumb in this area of your life? And it's like, oh, I didn't know, right? To help me not be so dumb. And, and also there's that charisma piece. So I think a lot of people say, oh, you're either born with it or you aren't. But the truth is that it's absolutely something you can learn. And, charisma is defined as that undefinable quality that makes people want to be devoted to you, that are fascinated. They are fascinated with you, that they're excited by you. And it absolutely is something that you can learn. And how I know this is that I went on my own personal journey to become charismatic, right? So I grew up in Lake Tahoe in the mountains, super nature girl, art nerd, quiet, history, blah. So when I moved to New York City and I became a society and celebrity photographer, right? Because photography was my passion. And the truth is that one of the reasons why I became a photographer is because I could hide behind my camera, right? I didn't have to deal with people because, I got my camera in front of me, right? But I realized when I'm doing society and celebrity, you can't be that weirdo hiding out in the corner, just staring at people and photographing without interacting, because you're not going to get behind the velvet rope. You're not going to be able to get past the security. You're not going to get into the VIP area. So I had to learn how to be charming. I had to learn how to dress appropriately. I had to learn how to approach complete strangers, and not just complete strangers, but some of the most powerful, wealthy, influential people in the world, right? So when I got to that level where I could walk into any room, I could talk to any person, and I could charm anybody into saying yes to a photograph, because anybody who's ever had their picture taken professionally, it's almost like going to the dentist, right? It's necessary and it's incredibly scary and painful, right? But if you can make someone feel safe and comfortable, it takes a lot of skill, right? So I spent over 12 years doing that in New York City, right? At the height of the top of the top of the top. And so that's basically what I'm doing for my clients, is like, how do you go from being that kind of shy, nervous, uncomfortable person who doesn't quite know the next step to being confident? Now, and you said it earlier, Gary, and I think you really nailed it, is that you are dealing with other people, right? Mm-hmm. So unlike your career, where you do have a lot more control over how you go through the ladder, so to speak, is that yes, you are dealing with other people. And that's one thing that even when you do become charismatic and confident and learn the communication skills and how to connect and all those things, that you're still going to have some struggles, right? And I think that's the other reason why it's important to have a coach or to have a support network, is to just not give up when things aren't going your way, even if you're doing everything right.
How much of a minefield are the holidays? When they come to you, when somebody comes to you for coaching and they're like, should I try to date during the holidays? Should I take the holidays off? I mean, yeah, I know you get this question, and first time I've had a chance to ask you.
Yeah, no, that's such a good question, right? Because the dreaded holidays with your family, it's like, why are you still single? Why are you here at the holiday party by yourself? You are successful. You are attractive. You have all of these qualities. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And there's nothing wrong with you, first and foremost, for any of you single people out there going, oh my God, I don't want to go to Thanksgiving and Christmas because my family's going to ask me this, right? I always tell people to say you're in between relationships, right? Because you haven't always been single.
Yeah.
Maybe, but that's a different story. First of all, you're in between relationships. And second, I do think that it's, they call it cuffing season, right? So when it starts getting cold outside and you want someone to snuggle with, and you're kind of just like, oh, well, there's somebody to snuggle with, even if they aren't my person, it's a person. So, that's I think is the minefield, is that sometimes people date out of desperation. Right. And so that's, I think, where it gets dangerous. I don't think it's a great time to date, right? Because my clients, of course, there's online dating. It's very popular now, especially post-COVID. That's how a lot of people meet. But the reality is that in the wild is still the best way to meet people. And not just in the wild, but through your network, through your friends, through your family, through this. And so I tell everyone, say yes to every single invitation you get, especially during the holiday season. So Halloween parties, Thanksgiving, Friendsgivings, Christmas, whatever parties you get invited to over the next couple months, say yes. Because when I reach out, I'm talking to all sorts of people who are single, couple, married, et cetera, et cetera. I ask, how did you meet your partner? 9 times out of 10, it's at a party through friends. At a party through friends. So you guys, holidays is actually the best time to meet somebody, because at a party through friends. Okay.
You guys just got some free advice on that. That was brilliant. And it really is. And so you need to say yes to everything. Yes. I mean, yeah, and put yourself out there, because I've always sat back and said this to my single friends, because they'll get disenchanted. And I'm like, what you will find is the person is looking for you as hard as you're looking for them.
Yeah.
They are, and it'll all come together. It's the Seduxe, Seduxe.
Yes.
She is wonderful. If you're looking for someone to just help you see your blind spots,
yes,
that's what she does. And I promise you, we're going to do another episode next year, and we'll go deep. We'll do the hour. As you can tell, I told her before we got on this, I said, you know how we are. Time goes like that.
That's right.
I'm fascinated by how you approach life.
Thank you. Yeah, Seduxe.com, or you can find me on Instagram, the Seduxe.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, my friend. Well, happy holidays to you.
Say yes to all invites. Yes. Happy holidays to you.